no slavery, even your hatred for someone. It's also what Donald Trump is. I mean, other people conditioning you to believe how they believe. Dear black person, or rather so-called black person, I say so-called about all races, all colors, because nobody is limited to the arbitrary label of a color. We are all an aspect of the whole universe, carved out in human form, carved out in mental form, carved out in emotional form, carved out in spiritual form, carved out in logic, carved out in reason, carved out in ignorance. We are all of these things because we are the entirety of existence as viewed through the limitation of mind. But essentially speaking, we are always the entirety of existence, and the entirety of existence lacks nothing. You lack nothing. It just seems as though you do when you identify with certain thoughts and perceptions. You are not self-hating if you don't agree with the official Black Lives Matter organization. Anybody who says you are is simply projecting. Assuming you agree with the statement in and of itself, Black Lives Matter, which I'm sure you do. Nothing after that, just Black Lives Matter. Assuming you agree with that statement, just as of course, all lives do matter, which is also extremely true. But still don't agree with the methods, or not too sure about the agenda of the official organization, it doesn't make you self-hating. Because I know how it is in the so-called black community, obviously. One of the issues we have, if I'm to speak as a black person now, which just feels limiting already because I'm so much more than this color, this label, race. This is one of the reasons there's so much problems in the world. It's because of all these arbitrary groups that people identify with so strongly that it's hard for them to see the bigger perspective, to see the wider truth. That is the thread through all perceptions, which is that we are all one, different aspects of the one. But speaking on a more basic, colloquial way, speaking as a black person, one of the issues we have, as I see it, is that we are so identified with struggle, with oppressions of the past, i.e. slavery, transatlantic, that it makes it harder for us to view being black as anything other than what is connected to struggle. Case in point, our most famous, popular rappers are mostly writing songs with negative lyrics. Mostly. The beat could be fire, but mostly the lyrics are negative. I will shoot you. I have hoes. I'm a bad man. That's from the Caribbean, America, UK. I'm sure France as well, and other countries in Europe. We elevate that to such a high esteem that we identify with that being what it means to be black. Of course, it's an aspect of life. The negative, the horror, the bad, drugs, sin, all of these things. It's an aspect, obviously. But we've made it synonymous with what it means to be black, and that's a huge problem. If we hear something positive, we find it hard to identify that positivity with us, unless that positivity still has an air of oppression around it. For example, the narrative that we were kings and queens in Africa. First of all, there's still kings and queens in Africa who are black. But of course, talking about ancient Kemet, which is usually the narrative. We were kings and queens and whatever country in Africa. This is a fine narrative. If it's true, it's true, right? But this statement is often put forward as a way to soothe the oppression or the negative thoughts, negative self-image that is rife throughout the black communities, many black communities. So remember you as this, remember you as that, because you are not this, you are not that, as in you are not this, solely this descendant of a slave. There's value in that, of course. But it's still going through the mud to see the sky. And what I'm here to tell you, my friends, is you are already the sky. You are always the sky. It's about time we as black people started to really connect to our spiritual side without doing it as a way to combat something. Combat racism. Combat we are oppressed. It can be used as that, but what I'm saying is it's a endeavor built on a shaky ground. Because if it comes to a talk, a debate about whether you are oppressed, because of the narrative that yes you are, but you was also king, yes you are, but you're also a spiritual being, just having that energy still there as the but as the but oppression still exists for black people, but we are still the lowest in the social economic class around the world. These narratives sticking to you, like not being able to let go of them at all, will still keep your positiveness of being kings, being queens, building the pyramids, etc., or make that connected to the negative. So it will never truly be a free, blossoming, flowering of the true being that you are, because it's only in relation to the negative. So you will still be oppressing yourself mentally by holding on to that notion that black people are at the bottom of life. Whereas what I'm trying to show you, my friends, as I speak about on this channel all the time, you are already that free being. You are already that sky. The sky cannot be hurt by thunder. That's how free it is. The sky cannot be hurt by a falling meteorite. That's how free and unaffected and untouchable it is. My friends, that's what you are too. Growing up as a black person, a black man, a dark-skinned black man in particular, of course, I've experienced the negative perception and the fear of a dark-skinned black man by society. I've experienced subtle racism or passive aggressive racism, microaggressions, all of these things. Growing up in London. Even going abroad. I've been called the N-word in Asia. I understand about the perception we have. I understand about the particular struggle that a black person can have. And of course, I have to say, everybody has struggle. It's just different. This has to be admitted within oneself. That when somebody says everybody struggles, everybody has pains, in response to things like Black Lives Matter, etc., just accept that it is true. Now, of course, the person could be saying it in a way to disregard what you're saying about police brutality, for example, which is very real. Be aware of that, of course, so you know where their intentions lie. But still, there's no need to fight it, because the statement in and of itself that everybody struggles is true. We need to live by truth. Otherwise, we will be constricted by our conditioned narrative that we have it worse than everybody else. That debate can never end, and I mean that. One can always bring forth a reason as to why they are more oppressed than you, while you are more oppressed than them. This doesn't end. Case in point, not every black person, of course, was a part of transatlantic slavery. It's just true. It doesn't mean, of course, that all black people in the world haven't been painted with this brush, black, as if we are all the same or all have the same history. Therefore, even if a black person wasn't a descendant from a transatlantic slave, then they can still feel the repercussions of the racism. I'm not saying that doesn't happen. That's one of the issues that I have with this blanket word black. What does that mean? We're all different. We have different histories. Same as white. All different, have different histories. So yes, be aware, of course, of people's intentions, nefarious intentions to bring you down, to belittle your sense of struggle. It's not about ignoring that. But at the same time, to live in truth is to live free. So you can accept that, yes, other people have struggles. Ours or yours is just different. Which will bring forth a more freeness. Why? Because it's the acknowledging other people's pains which actually brings forth unity. Because one of the simple truths is, in life, that our society has been allowed, when I say society, I mean the whole world, has been allowed to be dictated to by a relatively tiny proportion of humanity, as in actual people. Controlling the media, controlling education, controlling medicine. I mean, for example, homeopathy is seen as something that doesn't work. I can speak from experience, it works. That's just a small example. So it's no matter what so-called color you are, how you look, your nationality. Most of us people, the 99% of people, we are all in this relative existence paradigm on the other side of the ones controlling the narratives literally controlling people's narratives from what you should learn at school and what isn't important. Who is one to say what isn't important to learn? From who you should fall in love with, who you shouldn't fall in love with. Who is someone to tell you that? How you should wear your hair, how you shouldn't wear your hair, etc., etc. As in like for work and things like that. Who decides what's presentable? Who decides what intelligence is? Do you see? So another truth is that most of us are in the same boat. In this relative paradigm only though. Because fundamentally, as the point of my talks always is, we are that pure, infinite consciousness, otherwise known as, in analogy terms, pure space, pure awareness. Look behind your thoughts. What do you see? Nothing. You don't see anything behind your thoughts. Even that mistake was happening in front of that which I cannot see, perceived that verbal mistake, that experience. You cannot get behind the thoughts. You cannot get behind that which is experienced in experience, including the physicality, so-called physicality. Yet it's self-evident that it exists. Otherwise, experience wouldn't be known. There has to be a recognition that experience is taking place, of course. It's called consciousness. But we can't see that consciousness because it's always the so-called background, as I like to say, of experience, or the backboard. And it has no color, because color, again, is an experience in front of it. It has no body, because, again, physicality, bodies are an experience in front of it. It has no nationality, because, again, nationality is an experience, an idea in front of it. It has no oppression. Again, the experience of oppression is an experience in front of it. It has no racism. Again, racism is an experience in front of it. It has no ups, no downs. Polarity is an experience in front of it. It has no agenda. Agenda is an experience in front of it. It has no pain, no slavery. Because these experiences, these memories, are experiences in front of it. Even the analogy of sky is still an analogy in front of it. Even your debates, your best debate about why you are oppressed, is an experience, a notion, knowledge in front of it. Even your best spiritual understanding of what life is an experience in front of it. Is an experience in front of it. Even your love for someone is an experience in front of it. Because that love isn't true love. It's still dependent on a transaction. This pureness that all experiences appear in front of, another word for it is pure love, because it allows all to be and is completely unaffected by hate. You cannot hate consciousness. You cannot hate the observer of the hate, because it's always distinct from the experience. Do you see that? It's indestructible. What you truly are is this indestructible, beyond human, beyond alien, beyond anything that one could fathom with the so-called mind. It's indestructible. For something to be destructible, it would have to be at least appear in experience. Objectively, it does not. Yet it's self-evident that it's you. And my friend, that pure layer is also what I am. It's also what a white person is. It's also what a Chinese person is. It's also what Donald Trump is. It's also what a racist man is. It's also what a sexist person is. It's also what a woman is. It's also what a trans person is. It's also what a child is. It's also what a snake is. Also what a dog, a cat, an elephant is. That pure consciousness no one can get to with thoughts, because it's a ultimate truth. And ultimate truth has no limits. That's why you cannot pick it out as an object and analyze it. You can only analyze in front of it. Thus, you're always going to be one step too late. My friends, do you understand the fullness of what you are? Can you see? Do you see how limiting is to limit, shrink, all of that being of what you truly are? Pure truth, pure love, into that of a I'm oppressed. These people are out to get me. Of course, on one level, oppression completely exists. Obviously. There are people out to get other people, obviously, but I'm speaking to you specifically. When you wake up to your true form, you will then be able to have more peace and clarity, which is so important, and love. And then you will be able to help other people outside of their mental burden, mental bondage. Wouldn't you like that? Because the opposite, to say, I want to keep that, is proving the point again. That there's this conditioned narrative that we as black people have to keep that bondage with us. It doesn't mean forget about the past. It means remember it to gain wisdom from it. On this relative level, but on an ultimate level, still, I will consistently say this. As much as you are the relative body-mind construct, you are also this pure, infinite background of the experience. Pure consciousness, pure love, whatever label one wishes to place upon it. Because again, no label can stick to it. So by now, you can see I've gone way past the pro-black versus an alternate way of thinking, but still recognizing one is black. It's not about this extreme or this extreme. No extreme is good, because extreme is emotional. Sometimes, of course, extreme is needed. But I mean, just with your narrative, the standard narrative, it doesn't need to be constantly extreme. That's not healthy. Truth should be what's most important. Actual truth, not relative truth. Relative truth needs to be acknowledged, yes, but I mean, also try to see a wider truth. Otherwise, you will be consumed by a narrative. When I say conditioned narrative, I mean other people conditioning you to believe how they believe, because they have trauma that they can't, they have received from other people and they can't get rid of, or traumas from their own life, and they pass it on to you because they're a big figure, a big speaker, respected. But if somebody thinks for you, then you are forsaking your free being, that free infinite consciousness, that free infinite indestructible you, and handing yourself over to somebody else's perspective, somebody else's narrative, That's manipulation, not love. That's why I ask you to look behind your thoughts. See if what I'm saying is true. Are you limited to your thoughts? Are you this identity solely? You could lose your mind today, as you know. That's possible with disease. So even your identity is that slippery. It's not concrete, but that we should be aware of the forgetting of one's identity. That wouldn't move. That would still be the background of the change. That's what's concrete. May we seek less outside of ourselves, less pointing at other people, and more looking behind our conditioning to see what we find. Because my friends, what you would find is something really beautiful. And I would suggest that ancient people in Africa knew this. They spoke about all is one. They spoke about the noon, that ultimate energy, let's say, for want of a better word, that exists. The primordial waters. They spoke about all of these things. How do you think they could connect a building, a pyramid, to the constellations? It's pure connection, not seeing any difference. Of course, maths is a part of it, obviously, but also it's connection. It's not just, oh, I'm just a king, I'm a pharaoh. No, it's very spiritual. Black people clearly have a lot of vibrance. Clearly, we see this in music, we see this in dance. There's a lot of connection to nature. It's just true. Black people are extremely creative. It's just true. Not to say other people are not. But black people, there's an expression that comes from black culture for many, many years in many different forms that seems to always take over the whole world or influence the whole world. Whether it's reggae from a small island, hip hop, the blues, jazz, etc. Best tap dancers are often deemed to be, or there's more black than not. It is what it is. So that is something that, as an aspect of the whole, something that you have. You already have this connection, but to shrink your narrative into that of, oh, I'm oppressed. Like I am. There's a difference between I am and I've experienced oppression. There's a difference. I am oppressed versus I've experienced oppression. Or my ancestors have experienced oppression. There's a big difference with that narrative and I am oppressed. Because that's the narrative that's being drilled into you by other people, so-called leaders. You are not. If you have time to watch this video, you are not. But you can be mentally. And some people actually are. So why isn't the Black Lives Matter movement looking at that? Such as black people in chains in Libya. That's for one example. There's literally millions of pounds and dollars given to this organization. Is it really helping the local black communities? Is the water any better in Flint, Michigan? I don't know. Is it? I don't know. Are there more youth clubs around? For example, in this country, there's over £1 million raised. I don't see more youth clubs in the predominantly black areas in London. Just for example. So there's a narrative conditioning you to stick to this belief system that actually benefits other people in ways that are not necessarily going to be used to benefit you. But there's one thing you can use to benefit yourself, is to understand you are that pure infinite consciousness, as I keep saying. And I always will say, because I love everybody. I don't love everybody's actions. But the pure self that we all share, yeah. Why not? It's me. I look at somebody, I know the essence of them is me. The essence of them is not the mind, thought, emotional, body layer. No, that's not the essence. You cannot see the essence, as I've said before. It's the background. And we are all that. So I love that in everybody. And I hope to help bring it out to more people so you can truly, once and for all, be free. And then be able to actually help other people, actually help other black people. Because we have for many, many years been stuck on this mental layer that we are at the bottom. Even that mental image does not help. When you are the perceiver of the levels. You are the perceiver of the level bottom, the level top, the level middle, the classes. You are the perceiver of that. You are this pure consciousness that is perceiving the idea that you are at the bottom. Take a step back sometimes, meditate, self-inquire like this. I'm not saying you have to have your hands like this, but close your eyes, be still. Just observe your thoughts and allow the question to arise. Can I see what is seeing these thoughts? I used to do something, I used to say the word hello in my mind. I really try to see, where is that word coming from? Hello, hello, where is it? It's in the mind, but where is it? Because it appears in a space. I can't hold this space, but there is a space in which the word hello arises. I'm always observing any thoughts that arise in the mind. So am I the thinker or the one that is observing the thinking? In what way can I perceive the perceiver? In what way can I experience objectively the experiencer? If I can see that I am not the transient thoughts, the transient mind, if I can see that the body is an experience as well, and I cannot perceive the experiencer of the body, then could it be that I am not the body? I am not the mind, I am not the thoughts, I am not my identity. In the most fundamental, essentially speaking, seeing way. At some point you come to see you are that. You are that pure space of experience. You are observing your life. You are observing the living of your life. There's a difference in nuance there. So that pain isn't really yours. It isn't really yours. It's an experience, yes, but it isn't really yours. Remember that. I can talk all day, so I'm going to stop there. I hope I've said enough. If you like the video, please like the video, share, subscribe. Have a wonderful day or evening, my fellow expressions of consciousness. Peace to you.